What I'm about to share with you in this video is probably going to sting a little bit if you have been running a social media agency for any amount of time. There's a good chance that you've been building your agency the wrong way and you're your own worst enemy when it comes to scaling your business. The reason why I know this is because I've been there along with my business partner, Derek. We built our agency to 7 figures per year, but we didn't get there overnight. And I gotta be honest with you guys, there were literally years of us running our business where there were systemic problems that we were trying to solve that we just couldn't figure out. That's what I'm gonna share with you guys how to fix in this video. I gotta be honest, this is probably the most important video that we've posted on our YouTube channel in a long time, and probably one of the most important videos that you're gonna watch on YouTube in recent memory. If you haven't already, check out Growth School. It's in the description down below. Inside of Growth School, we're literally on the cusp, literally days away from launching Go High Level Mastery, the best course that we've ever created on how to use high level. If you guys have tried to use high level, you have questions about how to use it, it's literally going to answer every question that you have about using the software. It's going to show you the exact system that we use to run high level in our own business. Check that out in the description down below. When that course is released, the price of Growth School will be increasing. So any price that you pay today is going to be the lowest price that you could possibly pay for life. The price that you sign up at is what you pay as long as you stay a member. Don't want you to miss out. Join now. Now, let's talk about why your agency can't scale. First of all, it's important to actually understand what scaling means. I think that so many young entrepreneurs are like, scale, 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 and they actually have no idea what they're talking about when they say that word. I say this with love because, again, I used to be one of those young entrepreneurs and I had absolutely no idea what I was doing when it came to trying to scale my business. So scaling is defined as growing in a way that increases revenue while keeping costs low. Okay, now this is honestly just a bunch of business speak. The important things are at the bottom of this, okay? Hiring. Adding staff to take back time and handle increased demand. Especially as a service provider, we want to hire other people to start doing the work for us. Streamlining, okay? Automating repetitive tasks and redesigning processes. Putting your business in a position where it can run without you having to do every single thing, okay? Leveraging technology, using software and solutions to make employees more effective and to better track customers. Okay, now this again is super high level business BS. So I'm gonna actually explain to you what this stuff means in a much more actionable way. But at its core, this is what scaling is. It means going from a business of one to a business of many and removing yourself from the day-to-day so that you can handle increased client workload, your team member knows what they should be doing every day without you having to tell them what to do, and your business is positioned to continue bringing on more clients without breaking every time you bring a new client on. I felt this pain personally because when Derek and I hit 50K per month, we could not get past it, and it was only when we went back to the drawing board, completely reconstructed our entire business, could we then push to 7 figures per year, okay? Let's talk about it. So what does scaling mean, okay? It means that you have a business that is consistently repeatable. Repeatability is the most essential piece of scaling your agency, okay? Every client needs to have almost the same experience. Now we're providing a service, like it's not going to be identical. You're not going to be a robot just like taking them through everything exactly as you would, but you need to have a consistent experience. When you start working with one client and another client, they should both have more or less the same experience. Okay, now a good example of this is Apple Computer. When you go to the Apple store and you buy a MacBook or an iPhone, your MacBook or iPhone looks identical to the next guy's. It works identically, right? The performance of it is exactly the same. The aesthetics of it are exactly the same. The design of it is exactly the same. Why is this? Because if you go to Foxconn or whoever manufactures Apple products these days, there's a process that's being followed in the factory. Same with Ford Motors and the way that they create cars. Same with Ford Motors and the way that they create cars. Henry Ford was honestly one of the first people to really hyperscale a business. He said, hey, we're building cars in a way that makes no sense. All this stuff is all over the place. Let's create an assembly line so that the car literally gets built in a specific order and we can create far more cars than we ever thought possible, okay? Same is true for our business. We want to have a repeatable process like Ford Motors assembly line. That's the goal, okay? It's process oriented. Your business is made up of a series of steps like an assembly line. Everyone knows what they should be doing and when, right? When you are working for Ford Motors and they say, okay, you're going to be the painter, you go and you spray the cars or whatever it is that you do, you have a very specific defined role. You're part of a checklist of that car going through on its way to a client or consumer purchasing that vehicle, right? They don't just throw you in there and say, well, go do something, but I'm not really sure what you should be doing. That's not what we want to do. We want to have a repeatable process. Look at the biggest companies in the world. There's a reason why they do it the way that they do. Scaling means that it is team-based, okay? It's not a business of one. You need to have a team if you want to scale. SMMA, it's a service business. We're not creating SaaS applications. We're not creating software products. Our scaling is very different than the manufacturing assembly line at Ford Motor Company, okay? You scale based on adding what are called additional resources, right? Big Four consulting firms like Accenture, Deloitte, these companies provide consultants to companies. They're called resources. This is what the industry calls them. So team members, resources, you need more resources or team members to handle additional clients. The more resources you add, the more clients you can have, the more you scale, okay? This is how we scale. This is what scaling means. Now, here's why you're failing to achieve this. It seems easy enough. Oh, I just go hire some team members and then I scale my business. This is what Derek and I thought. We're like, we're not the problem. The business isn't the problem. We don't have enough team members. We just got to go pay some people to do something. The problem with that, though, they're not equipped to succeed, okay? If every client has a different strategy, there's no repeatable productized service. You're doing a bunch of different things for everybody. Some people you're building websites for, other people you're running Facebook ads, other people you're on Snapchat, whatever. Everything is different. This means that every client is getting different services, and this is literally the antithesis of scale. There's nothing repeatable about it. Nothing is predictable about it. One client to the next client has a completely different service offering. This is confusing, it's difficult to manage, and it's going to slow you down. You also probably have no systems, okay? Because if everything is a different strategy, there's really no point to building repeatable systems. This means that there's no point in documenting any operational processes. It doesn't make sense to create a checklist for something that's only going to be done a single time. You know what I mean? So what this does is it means that everything is different, nothing is documented, and every single client is being customized or built from scratch. So what this does is it makes the business completely reliant on you. There's no way to take the tribal knowledge of the strategies that you're creating in your head and to get that to somebody else to go and fulfill on. It's going to slow you down, and it's going to make it very, very difficult to get the third point that I'm going to cover in a minute. But no systems and no process equals the antithesis of scale, okay? Now, the third piece is that because you don't have a productized service or repeatable process from one client to the next, and you have no systems because nothing's being repeated, there's no point in creating systems for something that's not being repeated, this means that it's nearly impossible to hire team members. We've been there, we've done that, we tried to do it. It's literally building the business backwards if you try and hire team members before you have a repeatable process or systems in place. The reason for this is there's nothing for them to stand on. Let me give you an example. Imagine the example that I gave you earlier where you go to Ford Motor Company and they have an opening for a painter, but they don't actually tell you what to do. They don't train you on anything. They don't actually teach you how things are done. They don't tell you how you fix into the process because there isn't one. You're not going to know what to do. You're not going to know how to be successful, right? Even if you were a painter for Chevy and you come to Ford, you're going to be like, okay, what kind of paint do we use? When does it go on? Where in the process do I do this? You're going to be completely confused and you're going to fail. This is what happens when you don't have processes or repeatable process and systems in place before you start bringing team members on. They get confused, even if they have amazing experience and a super high hourly rate because they're a total rock star when it comes to running ads. They're not going to know how to help you in your business and they're going to flake out. Look at companies. Look at major companies. Now, for me, I know when we were getting our agency started, we came from a super structured business. We had quotas to hit. It was super stressful. And we wanted to get as far away from that as we could when we started our agency. The problem with that, though, is that there's actually some value to doing things that way, even though it's pretty frustrating to be in sometimes. You need to have a structure. You need to have systems in place when it comes to your business, or people are not going to be successful. They need to have a role to play, and you need to define what that role is by having a structure, or they're just not going to succeed in your agency. So again, no repeatable process equals no systems worth building equals team members that fail, quit, or cost you a lot of money. We've been there. Are you seeing how from A to Z, this is all sort of stacking on top of each other? And if the first piece isn't in place first, the entire house of cards falls down. This is why I'm explaining it to you in this very specific way. All right, so now let's talk about how we can actually productize our service with the scaling order of operations. So as I just mentioned, people that build their team first are making a huge mistake because there's nothing for their team to stand on. So here's what you actually want to do. Number one, you want to productize your service offering. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit more about how we do that in just a minute. Number two, we want to create a repeatable checklist, preferably based process that you can follow step by step for every client that you're working with, so there's no guesswork on what you should be doing. And then finally, once this foundation is built, that's when we start building our team and we start removing ourselves from different processes within the business. So let's talk about what this actually looks like to do. So if we want to productize our service, the easiest way to do this, we spent so much time on this, you guys, I can't even possibly explain. But what you want to do is you really want to look at the lead gen model. It's really the best SMMA model to scale. Put simply, you run ads, you build landing pages for those ads, and then you make sure that the leads are converting on those landing pages and that they're being followed up with, so that they're being turned into actual business or revenue for your client business. This entire process can be built in Go High Level. This is something we cover extensively in the new course, Go High Level Mastery, which is releasing in the next couple of days inside of Growth School. We also cover this in the SMMA Blueprint course as well. But what we want to do is we want to create a process or a snapshot within High Level that we can use from one client to the next client to the next client. What this does is it saves an immense amount of time and resources on onboarding, but it also, just as I was talking about with the Apple Store experience, when you go and buy a MacBook, the client experience is rinse and repeat, duplicative from every single client that you work with. This is exactly what it looks like. You have your ads, you drive those ads to a landing page, follow up with them on the back end. It's crazy simple. It's easy to build a team around. It's also very easy to train people on that have never done it before. So now that we know what we actually want to build when it comes to the lead gen model, how do we create a repeatable process? Well, once you pivot into this, I highly recommend looking at the Blueprint 2.0 at the SMMABlueprint.com. We walk through the whole lead gen model in 110 videos. But what you want to do is you want to start documenting your process, okay? So really simple way to start doing this, and exactly what we did, is when you do something like you launch an ad, get access to Meta Business Manager, build a funnel, set up a Go High Level sub account, so on and so forth, you want to document what you're doing in the form of a checklist, right? So as soon as you go and you get access to something, make a checklist in the to-do list app, or I recommend a project management tool called Asana that you can use for creating what are called SOPs. So SOPs stand for Standard Operating Processes or Procedures, depending on who you ask. But these are the structure and the foundation, the architecture of your business, okay? So anytime you start working with a new client, you have your onboarding checklist you go through, you have your ad creation checklist that you go through, you have your funnel creation checklist that you go through. This is exactly how we run our business today, okay? But the beauty of this is that you're building processes as you go. So as you do the thing, you're documenting in checklist form how to do the thing. So when you hire somebody, you give them the checklist and then they go and do the thing, right? It's how you scale. You follow it step by step, you start scaling from there. The goal is to have everything in your business documented. Like in our agency, everything from how we send invoices to how we offboard clients is documented. It's step by step. Anytime something happens, a new client comes on board, Tanya from our team duplicates our whole workspace, starts duplicating different things. Checklists are assigned to team members that are going to be on that project, and they know exactly what to do. They start working the checklist, and it's as good as if I was doing it myself. That's the goal. So ways that you can do this as well as you start growing your business is you can have your assistant help with it, right? So use an app called Tango or Loom, which is a video recording system. And you can use this to show the process and then hand it off or send the Loom recording to your team member, and then they can create the checklist. And just step by step, as you do something in the video, they create the checklist and document it for you. This is how stuff works in our business today. We're super busy, can't document everything ourselves anymore. So sometimes I'll just do something, send the Loom video over, and then our team will take care of making sure that it's documented so that I don't have to do it again. So now that this process for a repeatable productized service offering is built, we can then start building and hiring our dream team, okay? But what you need to do first is you need to have your process documented, you need to have your checklists created, and then I recommend that you go through them for the first couple of times yourself. So initially, you might not be ready to hire a team member yet, but that first client, you can start doing this. Like the first client you start working with, you can start documenting your process, bring your second client on, probably still fulfilling some of the services yourself, go through your checklist, make sure everything's documented and working well. Over time, you'll be ready to bring on team members. But here's the thing, 99% of new business owners do this backwards. They try to bring the team members on, as I explained earlier, and it collapses. The person's not successful because there's nothing for them to stand on. There's no foundation, there's no structure in the business to make them successful. You want to build your systems first, and this probably makes sense now as we've gone through this video. then bring on the team members, okay? And it took us years to learn this, guys. I'm gonna be honest, like we didn't even really figure this out until we brought our operations leader, Danielle, on, and she's like, you guys have no systems, you have no process. No wonder you're struggling to scale. Let me fix this for you, right? And now I'm helping you do the same. The other thing that's amazing about this is because you have your processes documented for them to follow, this also means that you can hire people that are less experienced. You can hire people with good attitudes and lower hourly rates, and then train them on the skills, right? There's an amazing quote. I covered this in the last video I uploaded to this channel. Check it out, where I talk about 5 of my biggest lessons. And one of them is an amazing quote that says, don't hire for skill, hire for attitude, because skills can be taught, okay? But you want to bring people into your company that have a good attitude. It's a lot easier to find people with great attitudes that maybe don't have the right skills and teach them the skills than it is to find people with great attitude, okay? So if you want more info on team building, highly recommend checking out the SMMA Blueprint. We cover that in there as well. We talk about team building, where to find them, job descriptions, what to pay them, all that good stuff, along with everything else you need to know about running an agency. So check out the Blueprint if you want. And if you want access to a high-level course, check out our Go High-Level Mastery course, dropping soon inside of Grow School. Hope to see you inside of there. Let me know what questions you guys have in the comments on this video down below. I'll be reading all of them, responding to any of them that I can. If you haven't already, subscribed to the channel, hit the video with a like to show some support. And if you're brand new to starting your agency, check out this video right here, where Derek talks you through how to start your agency completely from scratch, from start to finish, completely for free.